Has been fined $50,000 for violating the league's health and safety protocols. The violation occurred when he attended a private indoor party last weekend. Irving will forfeit salary for any games he misses due to his 5-day quarantine period, which will allow him to return to team activities tomorrow if he continues to test negative. He is expected to play against the Magic. So, guys, we should potentially see the big three there in Brooklyn for the first time tomorrow. What do you expect, Stephen A.?
I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I mean, first of all, it's not what we see now this weekend. It's what we're going to see in the weeks to come. James Harden has been out of shape, so he's got to get himself in shape. And Kyrie Irving has been out for whatever reason, and now he's expected to come back. So James Harden's got to get his body together. Kyrie Irving has to get his mind together. Once that happens, then you see the big three on the court, and then you judge them as the big three. Right now, they're just individuals that are playing together. They're not necessarily a team. The only person that's been a consistent model of a teammate has been Kevin Durant at this particular moment in time. I believe in Harden personally. I know he's been taking a lot of hits and what have you, but he was just trying to get himself out of there, and we understand all of that. He doesn't engage in load management. He gives it to you. In the case of Kyrie Irving, those 5 games, Kyrie Irving in the 72-game season this year, guys, is getting paid $464,000 per game. So him being out or being penalized for these 5 games without pay is going to cost him in excess of $2.3 million. I hope it was worth it for him.
First, let me say, I hope Kyrie's personal life is in order. I hope he's okay. His loved ones are okay. If he's taking personal time and it's costing him millions of dollars, I hope he's okay.
I hope he's okay.
Genuinely. That's number one. Number two, guys, if these guys can get their egos on the same page, KD, James Harden, and Kyrie can all score at every level. At an elite level, at every level, long range. Harden doesn't shoot the mid-range, but certainly they can score mid-range and in the paint. And then you add Joe Harris, who's a better shooter than any of those guys. Like, that starting 5 is impossible. And I'm just looking forward to watch. I just want to see it. I hope Max, they can get on the same page because I want to see it.
Max, you know what I forgot about? You know what we both forgot to mention? Harden is going back to join Mike D'Antoni, who's Steve Nash's lead assistant. Totally forgot.
That's right.
Totally forgot. Totally forgot. I didn't even think about that until last night. He's back with Mike D'Antoni.
Interesting.
Loved playing for Mike D'Antoni.
They're going to score some points, Stephen A.
They're going to score some points. Nobody's going to stop them from scoring. They're going to score some points.
No question.
They should be the number 1 offense in the NBA, easily. Number 1, number 2, easily.
Yeah, starting unit's got to be number 1.
See?
Has put the world on notice. A new stud has arrived at that wideout spot. And guess what? Even a former Dallas Cowboy like Cole Beasley has been productive for them all season long. And you never know when Devin Singletary can have a good game running the football. I just think that the Bills are a balanced team, and they find a way to keep themselves in it and make things interesting. And I think when you look at Lamar Jackson, as much as I love his running game and his wheels, because they got the number 1 rushing attack in football, because for the second consecutive year, their quarterback has run for over 1,000 yards. The problem is they have the worst passing attack in football. I don't believe in them when it comes to passing the football. I'm certainly not going to believe in them when it comes to passing the football against Buffalo. And I think as a result, it's a nail biter. But the Buffalo Bills end up squeaking out this game. It'll be a tight one. But I think it's a similar, almost identical score to Indianapolis, 27 or 28 to 24.
Your logic is sound, but I'll say this. I think Lamar Jackson pulls off the upset for this reason. I never thought he had a hard time beating good teams. He beat plenty of good teams. He had a hard time winning the games he had to win when the lights were brightest. He had a choking problem. Let's be honest. He's a young player. He's getting used to the bright lights, and some players go through this. Clayton Kershaw went through it for years. He finally won the World Series. Congratulations, Clayton Kershaw. He pitched well. James Harden has gone through it for years. I see him getting better and better under pressure, but he has usually not been the same guy under pressure. Paul George is going through it now. It happens. And I thought Lamar Jackson might be one of those guys. First half of his first playoff game, disaster. Second half, much better. Still not good enough. Second playoff game the following year, much better. Still not quite good enough. It wasn't his fault, but he wasn't his normal great self. But then what happened this year? Against the same Titans, rematch from last season's playoff game. They lost to the Titans in overtime earlier in the season. Lamar Jackson playing like Lamar Jackson, breaking off huge plays with his legs and making key passes when he needed to, got it done. He won. He can win doing that. The issue is, can he do it when it matters? Is the moment too big for him? He had to get his feet wet. He's gotten used to those lights, I believe, and he didn't choke in his last playoff game. I think he can get it done. Stephen A., he needs some help. As I said earlier, Hollywood Brown, he can't be West Covina Brown. He's got to be Hollywood Brown. But if some playmaker shows up, Lamar Jackson gets this win.
There's a lot of ifs. We know 2 playmakers are likely going to show up for the Buffalo Bills, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And one of them is the quarterback and another is Stephon Diggs. So we'll see what happens. If anybody can neutralize them, it'll be Baltimore. I get all of that. But Baltimore has found a way to make sure to remind everybody they're more of a complete team than we think. And I think it's going to take a complete team to beat them. I think under more ideal conditions,
Baltimore or
Baltimore
Buffalo?
wins. Buffalo, I apologize. I think under more ideal conditions, Baltimore could win this game. But I think with the inclement weather in Buffalo, I think that's who I have to go with for now.
Last I saw, by the way, Stephen A., 24% chance of snow. So maybe there's snow, but maybe there's not.
Yeah,
Better
true.
chance not than there is snow, apparently.
Meteorologists are wrong all the time. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
One more, fellas. Let me get to it. It's your man crush kicking off divisional weekend. That bad man, Aaron Rodgers, going up against that Rams D line that includes Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, who have combined for more pressures on the pass rush than any duo in the National Football League. Green Bay favored by 6.5. Max, did the Packers win by double digits?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a very tough game. As I've been saying, Dan Orlovsky earlier in the week was on Get Up, jumping up and down about how the Rams defense is built as kind of the kryptonite for Aaron Rodgers' Superman offense. I understand that, especially, guys, when you look at the Packers' offensive line. The Packers, forget about injuries on the defensive line, defensive tackle, very good defensive. On the offensive line, you're missing your best tackle. You're going up against maybe the best defensive tackle ever, who, if he's healthy and even if he's not, even if he's just most of himself, Aaron Donald requires not just lining him up against your weakest guard, which is who he's lined up against now, but requires help from maybe your Pro Bowl center, right? That means the line is weak in other areas, and the Rams defense can exploit it. Stephen A., when you brought up Jalen Ramsey earlier, when you bring up, you also have probably the best shutdown corner in the league playing lights out football right now, it adds up to a very tough game for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it does add up to a very tough game for Aaron Rodgers because that defense is the real deal. But when you're questioning whether or not you even have a quarterback, it's really going to come down to this kid Akers and what he can end up doing in the running game, like he did last week against Seattle. I mean, when I look at him running the football, are you going to do that to the Green Bay Packers? Because to me, that's what it's going to take. In the case of Jared Goff, let's face reality, he had a couple of decent throws, but he looked absolutely awful. But it's not to knock him. He had a broken thumb. He had surgery 13 days earlier. He had a couple of pins, if not more, in that thumb. It was a miracle that he was out there throwing a football, but he had no choice once the guy who replaced him ended up getting injured and had to be hospitalized. In the end, what it comes down to is now you're going to Lambeau Field. If you're accustomed to playing in Southern California, now you're going to Lambeau Field with the broken thumb in that freezing cold against this Green Bay Packers team. I don't give the Rams much of a chance. I think their defense will hold to some degree because they are elite. But you can't give Aaron Rodgers but so many bites at the apple and think he's not going to hurt you bad. Eventually, that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a tight game for about 3 quarters, 2.5 to 3 quarters. But then I think Green Bay pulls away and LA has nothing to do about it. Green Bay wins this game. Whether it's double digits or not, probably not. Probably more like 9 points, something like that. You know what I mean? 29-20, 30-21, that kind of thing. But they're winning this game.
Well, we're on the same page about the Packers winning. I like them to win, but I could see the Rams pulling off an upset even with Goff and his bad thumb. I'll say this. Remember, the one really bad game that Aaron Rodgers had this year was against the Bucs. And it was on the road. And Devontae Adams, if I recall, had just gotten back. And Rodgers wanted to kind of force the ball to him, wanted to get him involved, and got picked a couple times, which is unbelievable. You ever remember Rodgers getting picked twice in a game? It's like unheard of, right? Well, who's going to be on Devontae Adams, Stephen A?
Jalen Ramsey.
You got a guy where you really like that matchup. You highlighted it earlier in the show. I don't know if it's the most critical, but it could be, and it's certainly the most interesting. You have the best shutdown guy right now in the league against Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. Does that mean Rodgers turns the ball over in a crucial moment? It's not impossible. It's a dangerous game.
All right. Guys, can't wait for it. It's going to be a lot of fun, these 4 games, and we'll break it all down on Monday. But I've got some breaking news in the NBA that I want to get your take on before we say goodbye here on a Friday. Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving has been fined $50,000 for violating the league's health